It's Miji.
And Jack. And we're
And we're
back.
back. All right, you guys. I know I'm a little bit late, and I want to apologize. We totally had our Q&A. I posted it on the wrong page in our Facebook user group. So
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
do
do
it
this
again.
again for you guys. I know it's late in the day for those of you on the East Coast, but we wanted to make sure that we honored our meeting because it's so much fun, and I look forward to this day. So we are going to do it one more time. And this time it's going to be better. So you guys are in for a treat.
That sounds good.
With that said, Jack, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we got a lot of neat stuff that we're going to talk about. And today we're basically going to go over 17 Hats best practices.
Ooh.
Things that we've found from talking to different customers, using it ourselves. Just some easy little things to do that can really help you along.
I like it. You and I, we sat down and we put our heads together, wrote down all the tips and tricks and things we've seen across the board from power users. So this is really going to be a good section for you to attend and listen to, because we're going to be sharing all of those things with you guys.
Right. I think people may want to take notes because we're going to have a trivia question near the end, and we're going to be giving away a t-shirt.
Yes.
So if you're interested in that, take notes, and I think it would probably be helpful anyway to take notes. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then at the very end, we're going to share an exciting announcement with you guys in regards to our template marketplace, because we just released a new batch of additions. So stay till the end. We'll give you the details on that.
Nice.
All right.
Very nice.
Let's jump into it, shall we? So let's start off with the basics.
Let's start off with the basics. I occasionally we have people that ask us, what is the best browser to use with 17 Hats? And I got to tell you, you can use it with any browser, but I have found over quite a period of time that Chrome seems to work best. Browsers like Firefox, they tend to have a lot of extra plugins and extensions and ad blockers. So just generally speaking, while you can use anything you want, it seems to perform, 17 Hats seems to perform much better using Chrome. So just keep that in the back of your head.
Yep, I agree with you there. And there's been a handful of times where I'm talking to someone, they're asking questions about, why something's not working as it should. As soon as they switch browsers over to Google Chrome, those issues go away. So you really want to stick with that. 17 Hats was designed for Google Chrome.
Yep.
So it's going to run really smooth. And they've done a great job of providing stable, simple code without all of the, unnecessary extensions and plugins. And like Jack mentioned, it's the most compatible browser for our system.
Now, one other thing we may want to talk about is our email accounts. And if you are just starting out, we've had a lot of people who are coming into 17 Hats. They have POP3 servers, and they're going to have to change things around anyway. So if you have to go and set up a new IMAP, we recommend that you go with Google Gmail, because it's just spot on most of the time. It is just, it works so well. Also, we recommend, if you're having a lot of problems with connecting a different type of IMAP account or a free IMAP account, you may want to go and look at switching into Google Gmail. It just seems to work so much better. It's very consistent. And on the back end of everything, it just seems to perform. The timings are there, and the servers are right there when you need them. It's not.
Yeah. Much more consistent too. And I would say the same exact thing about Google Calendar, which is what we sync with.
Yep.
That's the one that we prefer. And, although you can just connect one calendar at a time, I see a lot of people creating sub calendars under their main account. And it's a great way to add in additional schedules that you need to.
Right. And one of the things I think, I would mention is that I have seen one customer, he had like 23 sub calendars in his Google account.
Wow.
And he kept track of everything. He was very...
He's organized, huh?
Very organized.
Well, there's no limit or rule as to how many calendars you should use. If you want to start separating things out, you can always color code them. It's up to your preference. You could do it however you'd like. But you could also create native 17 Hats calendars too, right, Jack?
Right, you can create those, and those are for use inside 17 Hats only. They won't sync to anything outside of 17 Hats.
And so some good examples I've seen in the past is some people will create one for their to-dos. They put their workflows on that calendar, all of their tasks go up on that calendar. You can create one for client birthdays, for client anniversaries, things you want to keep track of, but maybe you don't want it to crowd your regular main schedule. Put those on a 17 Hats calendar, put them in a different color, and as you move through next week, you say, oh, Jack's birthday's coming up. Maybe I'll send him, happy a little thank you card or something like that. Put your name
I
back in front
prefer
of
gift
them.
cards, of course. But
You get a coffee gift card,
okay,
maybe a
okay.
mail basket. Yeah.
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 All right, we can do that, and I think also when you're doing something like that, it makes sense just to get yourself in the stage where you recognize a certain color is for a certain thing.
Right.
So perhaps you always put tentative bookings on a red calendar, and then you have a completely different calendar that you use for business that's really been booked.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that really quickly. Why would you want to separate out your tentative bookings from your confirmed bookings?
Well, when you really think about it, somebody calls up or they send in a lead capture form and they say they want to do something on August 31st. Well, you go and take a look real quick, and if you're only using one calendar for everything, you see that there's something sitting there on August 31st already. But what you don't see at that point is whether that's a confirmed booking or a tentative booking. Okay, so if you can split it out and make sure it's very obvious what the differences are, I think that you're going to be much better off.
I think so too. You don't want to make that mistake where you turn away a potential, client because you think you're booked on a day when you're really not. So avoid that by separating things out onto different calendars, using different colors. It's just easier for your eye to pick up. So you don't have to click into each one, pull up the project and try to see, what stage it's in. Just make it easier on yourself. So that is one of my favorite best practices of all time, actually, Jack, is using different calendars for that purpose.
I agree. There's just so many little things like that. Now, what happens if you get into the system and it's just being a little weird? What is the first thing you do?
Ooh, let me show you guys. At this point, I'm going to share my screen. So, Jack, let's make sure that you can see everything okay. How about now?
I can see your screen. Yep.
Perfect. So you guys may have noticed in the upper left-hand corner, we have our beautiful 17 Hats logo, which is great to look at, but it does actually serve a purpose as well. So if I clicked on it, it actually goes through and refreshes the system for me. So if you run into little hiccups here and there, refresh your system, or anytime you connect something, disconnect it. If you make changes to your account settings, as a best practice, always click on this logo here to update the system and make sure that those changes that you just made are being implemented.
Now, also, if we have gone through, a lot of people don't know it, but we are always making improvements and changes to 17 Hats. So when we do things like that, also, if you go through and click on that button and refresh, basically you are bringing in the most current version of 17 Hats.
Yes, you are.
Yep.
Speaking of most current version of 17 Hats, we just made an update today, Jack, that I just found out about under account settings.
Do I know about it yet?
I think you do.
Okay.
And it's this account button right here. This page might look a little bit different for those of you who are current users. We've compiled this preferences section along into your profile section as well. So it's a little bit easier to navigate. Now you're just going into one place instead of two, which is very great. And now, since we're in this area, Jack, what do you recommend, when someone's brand new, they've signed up, they're setting up their profile? What are some key things that we want to make sure we tackle?
Well, I think, by default, all this stuff will not be filled out. But what you want to do, for instance, is you want to make sure there's a mobile phone number in there so that if with lead capture forms you start using SMS notification, it will get through to your mobile phone. And that's also, if you go through underneath and add the address of your business, that is used for all client-facing documents. So if you send somebody an invoice, it'll have your company name as well as your address and all your other information there. So it's just good to fill that stuff out and get it out of the way. What you can also do here, it's very easy. This is where you would upload your logo, and this logo would also show on a number of the client-facing documents. It would show on invoices, it would show on quotes, it would show on contracts and quotes. So it's just a good thing to go and add that in. Now we have account preferences underneath, and why don't you tell us what those are for?
Ooh, I love this part here. So if I click on the edit button next to account preferences, I've got a couple of things that I can adjust. One of them is background. We all have our preference as to what we want to log into and look at every day. So you can choose a different color, different gradient if you'd like. And that's just for your eyes only when you go into your 17 Hats account every day.
And you can change it every day if you want.
You can change it at any time, any day that you want. I do that quite frequently when I get tired of one. And then down here for subdomain, a lot of people neglect this section. But to me, if you're the type of person where you want everything to look consistent with your branding, this is the part where you want to type in your business name. It defaults to a string of numbers, but by changing it to your business name, that means later on when your clients pull up any document, there's going to be a URL at the top in the address bar. And instead of that string of numbers, it's going to say your business name, which actually, let's show them really quickly what that looks like.
Yep.
Let me pull up a document. Okay. I'm going to hit preview. And you can see now I'm looking at the document. Here's the URL in the address bar, and I've entered in 17 Hats Rocks as my subdomain. So that's what's going to show up here.
Right. If you were somebody else, you could put in Jim's photos. You could put in anything you want. And what it's going to do is append to the .17hats.com. And it's just really personalize it because that is involved in almost every client-facing document that you see.
Yep. I think it looks more professional too.
Yep.
And we're not quite done with preferences. Let me go back in there. One more thing I want to show you guys is this button color down here. You can customize your button color to whatever color you'd like. You can type in the hex code, use the gradient here to select it. And basically what that's going to do is on your important documents, the little action button where they can hit submit or complete or sign can match with your logo, can match with your branding. So just another place where you can customize the way your documents and everything can look to your clients.
And one thing that's very important as we look in that same area right there is that's where you set your time zone.
Ooh.
Okay, so if you're living in Los Angeles, you don't want to have it set up that your time zone is New York. So.
And why is that? Would that mess up my scheduling at all?
Well, basically it's going to go through and everything you put on the schedule will be in a different time zone.
Oh, no, I don't want that.
No. You would be 3 hours off if you were had a party to go to, let's say.
Okay. I don't want to be late for that.
No,
so I'm going to make sure I put in the proper time zone that I operate out of.
Yep.
Make sure I hit save. Awesome.
And you're all set up at this point. Some of the information below on that account, it says account information, and it just basically shows your account and that you are the owner of the master account.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you're on our unlimited plan, you can add on as many linked accounts as you'd like. You can toggle easily between them.
Right. And you can also add users in there for each of those up to 5 different users for those accounts.
Right. And set different permission levels for them. If you want some of them to see projects, but not bookkeeping, or if you don't want them to touch emails for whatever reason, there's all these different levels that you can set.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about, do we have any best practices for emails?
Oh, of course we do. Jack, there's times where I talk to someone and they say, I sent my client an email. They didn't get it. And then they go and they check and they look in the spam box and there it is, Yep. We hate when that happens. And so there are a couple of things you can do to avoid that and ensure that the email that you're sending lands into your client's inbox.
Yep.
So I'm going to share my screen one more time because there's a free tester that you can actually run.
Right. And how can we easily find that? Because I know if I describe the URL right now, nobody's going to be able to write it down. So.
Well, if you guys go to our help center, help.17hats.com, we do have an article written on all the things that we're going to talk through right now. So if you search by the keyword spam, it should be the top article that pops up. It'll have the link to this website right here for you guys to visit. Again, it's free. I recommend that everybody, it takes a few minutes to do this, run through a test. And Jack, tell me a little bit more about what this does.
Well, basically what you're going to do is you're going to go in there and you are going to create a contact within 17 Hats. You're going to send an email to them from 17 Hats and it'll go into the system and they'll analyze what they think is your spamability.
Spamminess.
Okay, I like that too. And what you can do, there are certain things that you can get the recommendation. There are certain things that you can do to your emails to help minimize your spamminess. Mm-hmm. And it depends because everybody these days, everybody's very concerned about getting emails, but everybody's also concerned about not getting emails that have viruses in them and stuff like that. So it just makes a lot of sense to get yourself as clean as possible before you start sending emails.
Sure does. And the mail tester will give you recommendations as to maybe some changes you want to think about implementing. Sometimes it's removing images. Sometimes it's removing attachments. Not saying that you shouldn't do that at all, but again, if you're finding that you're having issues with your emails not getting into the inbox, you might want to play around with changing things a bit, maybe removing those attachments and just see if the results are different.
Yep.
Speaking of testing.
One of the things you can do, well, speaking of testing, there are a number of different things you can do as far as that, but it makes sense to test on different people and test from your own account.
Yeah.
One of the things that we'd add, now normally we would always recommend to people that when you attach your email, your IMAP email, that you also use the SMTP server that goes along with that email. Sometimes, depending on who you have as your email provider, it just doesn't work. Maybe that email provider itself is kind of flagged as a spammy sort of person. So you want to watch that. But you have the option of also using the 17 Hats SMTP server. And in fact, if you do nothing and just come in and try to send an email from 17 Hats, it would automatically use that SMTP server.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that's attached to us and sends out. And Reza, one of our best programmers, probably the best guy we got there.
There he is.
Reza, how you doing?
He's the man that runs the show.
Yep.
There he is, sitting right next to me in the flesh.
Perfect. Nice. Well, he's just recently made some changes to the way the 17 Hats SMTP server works. And I think you're going to find that it goes through and eliminates a lot of the spam. So if you're having problems with your own SMTP server, we really recommend that you hook up the 17 Hats server and see what changes that makes.
Exactly. And, on that note, don't be afraid to test things inside of your account, whether it's using one server over another, or you've created an email template, send it to yourself in a different email just to see what it looks like, especially if it's a document, right? This is the first time you're using 17 Hats. You want to see what the quote looks like or the invoice looks like. It doesn't hurt to try that on yourself before you use it on a client.
Yeah. And I mean, it just makes sense. A lot of people will sit down and they'll set something up and they'll start immediately sending stuff to clients, which I do not recommend. The way you're going to learn a lot of this stuff, 17 Hats is very simple once you get the hang of it, but the way you're going to learn it is by sitting down and trying out different things.
Yeah.
If you don't try it, it's not going to work. You're not going to know how it works. So that's pretty cool. Anything else we could say for emails?
Well, another great way for you to see things from your client's view is to BCC yourself on your outgoing messages. That's actually a setting that you can check off under emails. And what's going to happen is on all of your outgoing messages, whether they're automatic or manual, you get blind copy on that. And you can see exactly what your customers are going to see with your logo, again, if it's an important document, what the quotes look like, what the invoices look like. Go through a workflow, and run through all those templates. And then you can start identifying some inefficiencies or things you want to improve, maybe a spelling error that needs to be addressed. Again, it's a really fun way to kind of just stay in the loop, easy. And if you want to later on uncheck that setting, you feel confident about everything and you don't feel like you need to be BCC, just turn it off.
Right. And I think while you're in that same area, and maybe we could switch over to that screen, just take a look. We have a checkbox where you can either have, so we're going to go into here, we're going to click on email settings. We also have, so there's the button for BCC, but we also have show emails on the overview, and you can turn that on or off. If it's turned off, you're still going to be getting emails, but they won't show up on the overview screen. They'll just show in your customer's project. But with something like this, it will go and it will show the most recent 50 emails that have come in on the overview page if you have this checked off.
Good to know.
I really like to have this. I use it all the time, and I couldn't be without it. So.
Right. I don't have a lot of emails on my overview, but basically I'll have a little notification that tells me exactly how many I have. Click on it to expand them. And
it would show you the first 50 you have if you leave them there and don't close them out.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Just something to keep in mind. It's a very handy thing, I think, and highly recommend it.
Yep. And now what about email signatures? Do we have the ability to create email signatures and save as many as we want, all that good stuff?
Well, I think we do. And it's interesting because it's just something that it's probably only been around. It's one of our most requested features, and it was implemented probably, I can't remember when, but say near the end of last year, the beginning of this year. And what's so nice about that is you can go in that same section in your email settings and set up as many different email signatures as you like. The first one you put in will always be the default that it would use if nothing else was chosen. But it's also a really good thing, as you get into multi-user and multi-branding, you would be able to go in and have different signatures for different people, and just very easy to set up.
Yep. I like that. I like that very much. Now, Jack, one of the most important things when we're setting up new accounts is you want to put in all of your contacts, right?
Yep.
All of your existing customers, maybe some leads that you've gotten, you want to put them into 17 Hats. There's this field called tags in there. How would someone use that? I mean, what use case would that serve?
Well, the tags, and it's kind of interesting the way that we've implemented it, because you can put in one tag or no tags, or you could put in 50 different tags for something.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose that you want to be able to know all of your customers that were added to the system in 2017.
Okay.
You could create a tag and you could say new 2017, and anytime you want, you can go through and basically choose just those people. Just search on the tags and find people who came in 2017. Now, once you've done that, you can also go and export all those people into a CSV file. And then if, say, you wanted to do a mass mailing to everybody that became a customer of yours or came into the system in 2017, you could go and just put it into something like MailChimp at that point.
Oh, I love that. And if there's something I want to track in particular, for example, if someone was a referral, or if they had a budget concern, or just something I may want to search by later on.
Yeah, it's a great use. Great use.
Yeah. Do this type of work up front so that later on, once a month or at the end of the year, search by those key phrases and pull up all the people who have that tag assigned.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We've talked about emails, contacts, and we talked about exporting. Now, Jack, how do you feel about deleting a contact? Because a lot of the times I know a lead comes in, you guys, we exchange a couple of emails, things seem to be going well, and then for whatever reason they go cold, or maybe I have a scheduling conflict and I can't move forward. And I know that there's not going to be any business coming in. Do I want to go ahead and delete that contact out of 17 Hats?
Well, I don't like to delete any contacts, and here's the reason why. Suppose that this lead comes in, you know that you're going to mark them as new lead 2017, but maybe you also want to go and tag them as being cost conscious. Okay, they're not going to do any business with you now. You could go in and set that person to be other contact, or you could set it to be a cold prospect. Different, classification of that lead itself. And then say near the end of the year, you're running a special on whatever it is you sell. You could go through and pull all the people out that have the tag cost conscious and do a mailing to them. Tell them about the sale that you're having, and maybe you'll get them back again. You work too hard to get leads and contacts into the system that if just because they're not going to use you at this point, to get rid of them. So I recommend you always keep leads and contacts around. You can go and change their status, or you could even archive their projects and this type of thing to get them out of the way. But you'd always be able to go back and get them.
Yeah, and it's going to be very easy for you to find them later on if you've categorized them by a specific status like cold prospect, or if you used a tag. You're not going to have to manually dig through the directory and try to find them and go into each project and look for a note, because you've done the work ahead of time. You've assigned a tag to them. So you just type in that word and find a group of people at a time instead of just one individual.
Yep. Good way to do it.
Okay, let's talk about templates really quickly, because it's really one of the best ways to save time and not do the same work twice.
Well, I think it's also one of the building blocks of 17 Hats, and just what makes it such a great product. Now, you could, in a typical system, go through and send the same email to 10 different people. Maybe you go and you have to rewrite it every time and do things like that. But if you find yourself using different forms like emails or contracts or quotes or invoices over and over again, it just makes so much sense to save that as a template. And then use that form over and over again to send things out. Now, depending on whether you're sending it directly from a project or you're using a workflow to send it, you can set it up and pull that template in. You could make slight changes to it. If you wanted to put, it was great to meet you the other day. Just some sort of a personal contact, you could do that and then send it out. But for the most part, you've got most of the text down. You can pull it in and use it again and again. Also, if you don't want to make any changes, you could just pull that in and send it out.
Just click send.
Yeah.
Right. And for those of you who are familiar with the system, you know about our tokens, which is another way to auto-populate pieces of information. You know, your template has the meats and bones, the message that you want, but our tokens can actually pull in information such as the person's first name, their project date, project location, phone number. So you don't have to go in later on and fill that in because the system already knows and it'll just automatically plug it in for you. So when I click send, that message does look personalized, even though it came from a template and I didn't have to spend too much time drafting it from beginning to end. It'll say, hi, Jack. Thank you so much for reaching out about your wedding. You know, we are available on...
Am I getting married again?
Yes, you are for the third time.
Okay. All right.
Congratulations. I will be there. Yeah.
Nice.
But, you know, there are so many different ways where you can save yourself time and not have to type in the same thing again and again and again. So take advantage of those tokens.
Yep. And a quick tip on tokens, just to keep it in the back of your mind, is I've seen when you are saving something as a template, make sure that you don't include any information like hardwired information. So if you had originally had an email saying, Dear Jack, and hardwired it in there, you don't want to save that as a template. Or if you do save it as a template, you want to edit it and get rid of the word Jack and add in a token for first name.
Exactly.
So, you know, I don't know about you, Miji, but I have seen over the years different people hardwiring stuff in templates, and we take a look there and they can't understand why the email, no matter who they're sending it to, always goes to Dear Fred.
Well, check the original master template because it might have his name in it.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely use tokens for that. And now another question I get quite often is someone creates an email template, they save it, they go to use it, and from the drop-down menu, they can't find that email template that they just created. It's disappeared.
I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens too. But really, guys, what's happening behind the scenes is I'm going to share my screen again.
Yep.
We're going to go into account settings, documents, and now I'm in my templates. I'm looking at all the different email templates that I've created, right? And they're alphabetically listed.
Yep.
So the first column shows me template name. And then we have a second column here that says type. And you can see underneath type, we have regular email, we have contract email, invoice email, quote email. And if I go into one of these templates and take a closer look under type, I can see that for every single template, I have a choice as to how I want to save this email. And the type is really referring to the situation where you're going to be sending this email, right? So as you're drafting the message, think about, am I sending this just as a regular email? Do I intend for this to go along with a quote, maybe a contract, questionnaire? Is it going to be a lead autoresponder?
Yep.
And I want to make sure before I hit save that I've selected the correct type, because if I save this email as a contract email and later I go to send a quote and I'm trying to find this email template, it's not going to show up in my choices because that's not the right use case for this email.
Right, because you figure, you know, depending on what you do, and I've seen it in a number of accounts, you know, you could feasibly get to the point where you have hundreds of different email templates. So when you go through and you're sending a quote to somebody and you click on the box to take a look at all your templates, the only ones you're going to see are ones that were saved for quotes, you know, just to help reduce on the confusion and finding the right templates. So
exactly.
Yep. So
if you can't find an email template, get into your account settings, check to see if you have the template saved under the correct type.
Yep. Now, didn't we also have, I think earlier on, we had been talking to some of our power users, and didn't we get some hints from a couple of them?
Oh, of course we did. And they gave us some really good suggestions that they use every single day for their templates. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see this, Jack. Can you see this okay?
I can.
Cool. All right, so we have, oops, go back to that one. All right, so Tracy Brisson, who I have to give a shout out to because I know Tracy personally. She's a wedding officiant in Savannah, Georgia. She's amazing. She gave us a really cool tip where she says, I organize the titles of my templates by purpose. So each title starts with lead, client, auto, questionnaire, invoice, quote, etc. This organization has also helped me realize what templates I had missing to make my customer experience better.
Nice.
This is a really creative way of organizing your templates because as we just showed you, they're listed alphabetically. So if you want to group things together, one way to do it is to put a prefix in front of the templates you want to put together. So she's doing lead, client, auto, those terms, but you could really use whatever, formatting works the best for you. And I like that she's using this technique also to kind of figure out, well, inside of a workflow, if I have all of these different components, am I missing one that I really want to include in there just based on the way the templates are named?
Yep. So that's a good way to get them organized depending on what you're doing. And I've just seen so many people do similar but different things. It's whatever works best for them.
Right.
Oh, I do have to mention that we've had a couple of people join us. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And let's see, Donovan just joined us also, so welcome.
Donovan Janus, we know that guy.
Oh, and Bianca is saying hello from Brazil.
All the way from Brazil. Hi, Bianca. You were in our other session too. You're a trooper. Thank you for being here.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, Jack, we have another good tip from Deb. She says, my workflows and the templates associated with them are all prefixed with the same information, which helps me sort and find the ones I need. For example, my session pre-consultation prefix is SS-03. And then she kind of goes through and lists all the different ones and the different purposes. And she says, so all of the templates associated with that particular workflow are also prefixed with SS-03. Helps me stay organized.
Right. So that's very similar to, what was going on a little bit earlier with Tracy, but she's done it a little bit differently, and it's a way that works for her.
Right. And so if she had gone in and built out all of these templates ahead of time, and she went to put her workflow together, it's going to be really easy for her to find all the templates she needs for that workflow because the prefix is going to match up.
And I think that's something we'll really talk about like in next week when we go and do our Q&A on using workflows with tips and techniques and the best way to do that.
Our best automation tool. Yep.
And I think we have one more from Betty.
Betty.
Yeah.
Betty says, if you put the number 1 before the template name of your customized email templates, all of your customized emails will move to the top of the template list, so they'll be easier to find.
Very good.
That's a good one too.
And just in case people don't know this or they haven't really looked at their templates yet, when you get in there, if you start a brand new account and you get into your templates, you will find that there are a number of templates there already, especially email templates. And those are a combination of system templates that 17 Hats uses to acknowledge certain things. Like we would always send an email out to a customer that says you have signed a contract after they've gone through and signed their contract. Now, these are system emails that we need. You can go in there and you can edit them and personalize them. So just another way to personalize something.
Very good.
Nice.
Okay, we have a question, Jack, from Chris. He says, how do I save a document as a PDF?
That's really something simple, and it involves, is you're getting a PDF printer and installing that on your computer. PDF printer is software, and basically it's a software driver. So instead of it sending it to a printer, it goes through and creates a PDF file.
So if I go ahead, I'm going to pull up an example document. Let's say this invoice, right?
Yep.
I click on the print button here, pulls up my printer settings. And down here for me, under destination, if I clicked on change, this is where I can select either to print the document by selecting the name of the printer, or if I want to save it as a PDF, I select this option. And once I hit save, I'll type in the name, the location on my desktop where I want to save it. And one cool little trick I want to show you guys under more settings.
Oh yeah, this is nice.
This is nice. A lot of the times, headers and footers, this option is checked, which as you can see in the preview here, it shows the timestamp. It's got the URL at the bottom. Sometimes people don't want that in the document, especially if they intend to print it and they're going to hand it to their client. You want to uncheck this setting here, and that way the timestamp and the URL goes away. Looks a lot more professional, a lot cleaner.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
And Anne-Marie says, if I'm on the East Coast, but the client is on the Pacific Coast, and I have automatic emails set up for invoice reminders, when will the emails go out? This is a great question. When do invoice reminders go out, Jack?
They will go out every morning based on your time zone. And they usually, I believe it's 9 o'clock, wherever time zone you're at. So your customer would be getting it, even though, the system doesn't know that your customer's in California. Mm-hmm. But it knows, because you've set the time zone properly in your settings, that you are, say, on the East Coast.
Yep.
So
And
everything.
the same thing goes for all of your other automatic emails and items too, right? So within the workflows. And for those of you who aren't familiar with invoice reminders, once you have those turned on, the automatic email goes out the day before the payment is due, and then once a month for past due payments. So you don't have to follow up with your clients. Let 17 Hats do the work for you, and you will get paid faster.
Yep.
Good question, Anne-Marie. And for those of you who are just joining us right now, thank you for being here. I'm sorry we got started late. Totally my fault. We did this session already, posted it on the wrong page. So Jack is such a good sport. We're doing this one more time. But give us a heart or give us a like if you like what you're hearing. And because this is a Q&A, plug your questions and your comments down below. We will see them. We've got Travis in there. He's helping pass forward all the messages you're sending. So we'll see them and we'll answer them.
So that's great. So let's talk about lead capture forms a little bit, eh?
My favorite feature.
I agree. Me too.
Yeah. So much to talk about.
Well, lead capture forms. I mean, basically what it's doing is it gives you a way to have a customer or a prospective customer fill out the information themselves. It comes into you.
Mm-hmm.
They can go. You can set it up so that it automatically sends out a automated reply. Thank you. We'll be in touch soon. You can set it up so that it will send you an email or a text message and an email, basically saying that you've got a lead. So what it allows you to do is to, without sitting at your computer all the time, it allows you to follow up with your customer, prospective customers, or anybody else that comes in as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just generally well known that the faster you can get back to somebody who is interested in your services, the more likely chance you're going to have of grabbing that business.
Absolutely. I think nowadays a lot of people are shopping around, and they may fill out one contact form and then another one. Whoever gets back to them the quickest, you're increasing your likelihood of getting in contact with that person and, starting that engagement, getting them through your workflow and your process and getting them onto booking.
Yep.
So let your lead capture form do the work for you, automate that response. As we talked about, you can use tokens to pull in specific pieces of information so it doesn't sound so templated. And if you're on the go and you don't have time to sit down and check your email for leads or anything like that, 17 Hats can do the work for you.
Okay, so that's some pretty good stuff about lead capture forms, but I got a bunch of other stuff that I think is very interesting. You can create as many lead capture forms as you want. You can put them on your website. You could put them on your Facebook page. If you're, say, you do cakes for weddings, you might go and put a lead capture form on the page for the local wedding venue. Say it's a golf club, everybody gets married there for some reason or another. You could go on their webpage and have them put the code snippet, and you could just have something like, need a wedding cake? Click here. Mm-hmm. As soon as that person goes through and fills out that form, that is automatically going to go, and you get the lead. You can start working on them right away. So just imagination-wise, think about the different places you could put lead capture forms for the type of business you have.
Yeah, I mean, really anywhere online, you guys. Yeah. You could put a lead capture form. You can install it, meaning you can embed the HTML on a website or on your Facebook, or you can actually just grab the link, the URL itself, throw it at the bottom of an email campaign that you're doing. As Jack said, anywhere you can put a link into. Make it easy for people to get in contact with you. Now, the other great thing about lead capture forms is it's grabbing in the information, it's creating the project for you and everything, but it can automate and trigger a workflow as well. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So again, if you're away from your phone, you're away from your computer, and you already have a process built out, as soon as that lead capture form gets filled, you can trigger that workflow to start. And let's say maybe the first step is to send out an invoice or a quote. You can build those templates in so that every time someone fills out the form, boom, that document goes out, and we're firing off that process. Now,
right, and there are a couple of ways to do that, right?
Yes, there's two different ways, and Jack, tell me about one of them.
Okay, the first way is that you can set up your lead capture form so no matter what else is going on in the form, it will it'll start up a workflow as soon as your lead goes and submits that. The other way to do that, and this is one of the things I think is just a great thing, is you can add a list question in. Suppose you are a photographer, you do 3 different types of photography. You could go through and say, click here if you are interested in wedding photography or portraits or stuff like that. And you can have that based on what your customer has chosen. You can have that go through and start a different workflow for what they've chosen.
Mm-hmm. And of the two methods, you can only choose one, right, Jack? You can't do both.
Right.
So whether you just want that workflow to kick off every single time when the form is kicked out, or maybe you want to specify, based on the answer that the customer is making, which workflow you want to trigger. So you have your choice.
Yep. Always a good thing. Now, something else very neat about your lead capture forms is that if we could take a look at one of those now, a lead capture form, with 17 hats, we're not really sending documents per se to people. We don't send a invoice to somebody. We send an email, and in that email, there is a link that goes to that invoice online. Okay. Now, for all forms except for lead capture forms, you have to go, and those are very unique to the person you're sending them to. But with a lead capture form, you can take a look at that link above. You could take that link and you could do a mailing to 10,000 people. And every time that person would go and click on that link, it would go and create a new lead and a project for that lead. So what it is, it's a very good way to get people into the system quickly, especially people that are interested, and you can start doing things off of that.
Yep. And one thing I want to note too is with our lead capture forms, we've seen all different links. We've seen some that are 10 questions long. We've seen some that are 25 questions long or more. And when you think about your online experience, if you're looking at someone's page and their services and you go, you know what, I want to contact that person. Let me look at their form. And you see 30 questions. What do you think that person's going to feel? I mean, are they more inclined to go through and fill out all of those questions? Or do you think maybe they would,
what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look and see 30 questions they're asking me to fill out for somebody I don't know and somebody I'm just kind of trying to get to know to see if I want to do business with. I'm not going to fill it out.
Right.
So I think as a general, a really good rule for everybody is to think about this is for a lead capture form, go through and keep it to 10 questions or under. Keep it as short as possible, but get the information you need to get started with them. Later on, if you find you need more information, well, you can just go and send out a detailed questionnaire and you can have as many questions as you want there.
Exactly. Use your lead capture form to grab the necessities. And use your questionnaire if you absolutely need more information. Let's say to provide a quote. If you're a caterer and you got to know what pizza sauce they want, what add-ons they want, what entrees and all of that, put that in a quote later on. It makes it so much easier for that lead to get in touch with you. It's not going to deter them from filling out the form because you want them to get into the system. You want to get in contact with them as quickly as possible.
Now, there's one other thing. Well, there's a lot of different things, but one of the other ways that I think is a good way to use the lead capture form is suppose somebody calls you up on the phone. Probably the fastest way for you to get that information, you're talking to them on the phone, is to have created a lead capture form that you use when somebody calls you on the phone. Now, this is kind of nice because you can gather more information. They're talking to you. So it can be over 10 questions, but also another good reason for doing this is it can serve as a script to make sure you remember to ask the right questions when you're talking to this person.
Right. So you can almost leave in little things that you want to make sure you say or you want to address. And since you're filling out the form internally, your clients aren't going to see any of this. So you're just on the phone with them smoothly, going through the list of questions, filling out the answers as you go, and you'll get the little prompts that you've left for yourself in the form of a text. And you can just read that off. So really easy for you to not have to memorize what you got to say. At the same time, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone because you're also creating that contact and that project for them just by filling out the lead capture form.
Nice. And I think, Miji, we should also welcome Dawn just joined us. So hi, Dawn. Welcome.
We know Dawn. Hey, Dawn. How's it going?
And if you like what you hear, and give us a like and maybe click on some of those hearts down there, we'd really appreciate it.
And a heart. We love the hearts.
Yep.
I think Dawn will definitely give us one.
Good. Very good.
All right.
So what do we want to talk about next?
I want to talk about calendars really quickly.
Okay.
A lot of people use Google Calendar. It's very popular nowadays. They put all of their, booked appointments up there. Sometimes they'll create to-dos. I've seen people do that, or they put their lead projects on there, which is fine. You can absolutely do it. But what we've seen across some of the best practices from our power users is sometimes it's better to separate out different calendars for different purposes.
Right.
One of the reasons being every time you create a different calendar, you can assign a different color to it, right? So the items placed on that calendar can appear in a different color. For the eye, it's just a lot easier to differentiate between what belongs where, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. And as we kind of talked about earlier, separating out your lead projects from your booked projects will avoid a lot of scheduling mishaps, because if you keep them all on the same schedule, it's hard to tell which ones are actually good to go, which ones you're still in the booking process for. And the last thing you want to do is be on the phone with someone and turn them away and say, you know what, I'm booked for that day. I'm so sorry. Later, just to find out that the project you were looking at on the calendar actually isn't booked. That person hasn't gone through the process yet, or they haven't paid their deposit. So creating that separate calendar will avoid that from happening.
The other thing that's really good about that is that you don't want to, you're going to be having so much business coming in because you're using 17 hats that you're going to not remember each of these individual people in particular. So it's good to split them out, know what's real business and what is business that may be something in the future. Exactly.
And as some of you may have noticed, inside of 17 hats, you can create native 17 hats calendars, as many as you'd like. These stay within the app. They don't sync anywhere, but it's a great organizational tool. Let's say if you want to keep track of client birthdays, create a client birthdays calendar and just plug that up on there. Or client anniversaries, anything that you may want to keep track of. I was talking to someone today and she said, well, I have an event that I canceled. I don't want to delete it, but I don't want to leave it up on my schedule. What do I do? You can create a cancellation calendar and put canceled events on there. It's out of your view now. It's not crowding your main schedule, but it's also saved in a different place. It's very easy to move things between calendars. So just think about all of the different things you want to separate out, like your to-dos, for example. You might want to create a separate 17 hats calendar just for the to-dos so they're not mixed in with events.
Right, and you can also go through when you're doing that and you can turn certain calendars off and on. So the calendars are there, the calendars are working, but they don't show on your main calendar. Right. You might want to do that for, say, to-do items that you have that are just generated from workflows and just coming really fast. Now we have, like we just talked about, we have our internal 17 hats calendars, but you can also, and we really recommend that you use Google Calendar. And what you can do from that point is you can connect one Google account, and with that Google account, you can have sub-calendars. So you can pretty much do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned earlier that we can go through and for instance, you could have, I had one guy that I saw he had 23 calendars on his Google Calendar. So it's just everything was a different color. He used them for different reasons. And it was just something that he, very organized person.
Clearly.
So just give you something to do.
He's got a good system
going.
All right, let's talk about invoices really quickly. Anne-Marie mentioned invoice reminders. She's using those. It's a fabulous tool, especially if you take advantage of payment plans, right? 50% now, 50% later. You don't have to rely on your own memory to follow up with those documents or send a copy to your client saying, hey, don't forget, your second payment is due, or third or fourth. If you turn on invoice reminders, and I'll show you where to do this. 1 second. You can actually allow 17 hats to send out an email a day before the payment is due and once a month for past due payments. So if I go into account settings and click on invoice options, there's a button here that says edit invoice options. If I go into that, there it is, reminders. I can toggle it on and off, right?
Nice.
And this is a great way to stay on top of everything without having to manually go through, check what's outstanding, make that phone call or write that email, because we don't like to do that. That's not the fun part.
Well, along the same lines, that email that goes after that, you can go through and personalize that also.
Absolutely.
But it's not like you have to go and start talking to the people individually at that point and asking them for their payment. It's just really nice.
Right. Here they are.
Yep.
Right. And if you want to edit them, you click on the edit button. This is what the default version looks like Jack mentioned. If you prefer to customize them, maybe add in a token.
Yep. Send me the money.
Give me my money.
Yeah.
There we go. Right? So you can customize these, add in your signature, of course, from the ones that you have saved, and they'll automatically go out for you.
Yep. Very customizable from that point of view.
Yes. All right. We have a question, Jack. Did I see that you can search for templates now? Ooh. Yes.
Nice.
Fairly new feature. It's been around for a little bit. We have this section now right next to filter where
Yep.
you can type in a template name. So if I typed in, let's say, what should I do? Invoice. Any template name that has the word invoice in it will show up. And it's kind of taking all the other ones out of my view. So if you're the type of person, you got 300 templates in there. This is a really quick and easy way to search through all of them.
Right. Very nice feature.
Right. And then the buttons next to it, if you want to just filter your templates by type, let's say I just want to look at contracts or I just want to look at quotes, you could use that as well, or use view all.
Yep.
And then new template, of course, is used to create a brand new template. And Jack, I see that Drew has joined us. Thanks for being here, Drew.
Oh, hi, Drew. Welcome.
Yeah, give us a heart or a like if you like what you're hearing. We're going over best practices for those of you who are just joining us. We just talked about invoice reminders and how it's a great way for you to stay on top of outstanding payments, especially if you have payment plans. That way you don't have to do the following up. That's not the fun part of running a business.
Nope.
But 17 Hats can do that for you.
All right. So what would we like to concentrate on now? I think that we have a number of things, and actually we probably have enough for a whole other session on this, so we may want to consider that depending on how long we've been running. But do
you want to do the trivia giveaway?
You know, I think we could do that.
Let's do it. So for those of you who were here at the beginning, or maybe you know this already, we would like to hear from you. And if you get this question correct, you will get a 17 Hats t-shirt. I think, Jack, are you wearing it or did you take it off?
I changed in between sessions.
It's a really cool gray t-shirt that says 17 Hats. And I promise you, every time you wear it, when you go outside, people are going to stop and talk to you. So if you like attention, that's
right.
the way to do it. But our trivia question is, what is the preferred browser for 17 Hats?
So the first person that answers, Travis will let us know, and then we'll have you stay on afterwards and get your shipping information and size information. So it's a good thing to do.
Get that t-shirt out to you.
Do we have any big announcements to make, Miji?
We do have a very big announcement, and it just happened recently. For our template marketplace, we have a lot of new additions. And, you know, our first iteration of it, we had a lot of great packs, workflows, and emails. For photography, this time we have some different items for different industries. So whether you are a brand new user, you're just coming in, trying to get a kickstart on your setup, or maybe you've been using the system for a while and you just want to refine your process, you know, we partner up with our most successful business owners. So if you want to get their proven process, you want to check out our template marketplace. And Jack, what do the new additions entail?
Well, we have a number of things. You know, before, most of the templates that we have had and sets of templates have been based on photography. So now we have some templates for people that do copywriting. We have for design, which also have information about branding and web and project and print types of thing, hospitality industry, videography industry, social media. We have general contract section, which is really kind of cool. Ooh. So you can go through and check out all the contracts. Now, you know, you go through and buy these template packs and you bring them in and you can go through and personalize them because, you know, you want to put your name on there, and on the emails, you want to go through and put your email signature and things like that. But it's a really great way to get started. Now, you should go check that out, and you can see those if you go to the your documents page and then go to My Templates. You see right there, you got My Templates and Template Marketplace, so you can go through and pick those things out.
And Jack, we just added in a shortcut today too, down here, where it says Marketplace. Yeah, one less click.
Everything is moving. It's a very fluid. Now, one of the things also is that we also, if you just get into 17 Hats, we have a set of essential 17 Hats template. It's available, and you can go through and download those for free. And what's really nice is it gives you a really good idea of how to get started, because it'll show you what the templates look like. You can edit them. We have a workflow template in there. It's just a really good way to help you get started and a little bit faster as you go.
Right, because why reinvent the wheel and start from scratch if, you know, we can give you the tools for free. of an outline, especially for the workflows of where you can start. And because they're templates, like Jack said, you can always go in, make changes if you want to, change the timing of the steps. But it's a great way to jumpstart that process instead of having to sit down and start all the way from the beginning. And Jack, we actually have a winner because I see a correct answer to the trivia question. Deanna, you are correct. It is Google Chrome. That is our preferred browser. It's the most compatible with 17 Hats, and you got to use it. You got to use it every day. I think that's the most important best practice I have to share with everyone is you have to log into 17 Hats every single day.
Well, I mean,
your email.
When we talk to power users and stuff like that, you ask them what their day is like and stuff like that. The first thing they say is, I get up, I kiss my spouse, and then I go and open up 17 Hats.
Because it's your business. Yes.
It's your business, yeah.
Gotta check it. Our friend Amanda, she told me, she goes, when I sit in front of the computer, I have 2 monitors. One, I have everything that I'm working on. And on the other one, I have 17 Hats. And it stays open. And I never close it.
Yep.
So that's my favorite best practice of all time.
Now, do we have something we could tell? I think we also have a special for people who have watched this.
Ooh, yes, we do. And I have a fun little slide to show you guys. So if you are thinking about joining 17 Hats, we have a very special offer for you. Give me just 1 second. Jack, let me know if you can see this.
I can.
Woohoo! So if you join 17 Hats today and you're a brand new user, you can save 15% on our most popular plan, the unlimited annual. And all you got to do is go to that link that's shown on the screen right now. If you happen to be on your phone, just take a screenshot of it. So later you can go back to it if you don't have time right now. Travis, who's in the comments below, if you could just pop that URL in the comments so that everyone can click on it really easily. All you got to do is go through the link. There's 4 fields you got to answer to sign up, and start transforming your business today. Save 15% while you're doing it.
Yep. So I think, what are we going to talk about next week? And next week we're going to do it Thursday, same time, and we'll do it 3 o'clock Pacific time. 6
I'll make
Easter
sure I put
time.
it on the right page.
Yeah, that would be good. And what are we going to talk about next week? We can finish up perhaps with some of these tips and tricks and best practices that we were talking about today, but we still have quite a few to go through. And then I think we wanted to talk about workflows and how to get them.
I think we could do a little bit of both. What do you think, Jack?
Yep, I think that'd be good.
We'll finish up our list. It's a rather long one, but we really want you guys to hear all of these tips and tricks. And workflow is such a wonderful feature. Let's just combine the two and make a hybrid of it for next week. So make sure you guys are here, same time, 3 p.m. Pacific, on this page. All you got to do is just log in on your phones or your computers. Jack is laughing at me because I posted in the user group. Okay, speaking of the user group, we have another Facebook page for everyone who's a user of 17 Hats. It's a great platform for people to share advice, collaborate, get ideas. I see really cool hacks posted in there all the time. So once you sign up, make sure you check us out, 17hats.com. Facebook/17 Hats users, and just request to join. I'll let you in and we'll start having fun.
That sounds great. So do we have any other questions before we wrap it up?
Any other last questions?
Okay, I see Travis said he's posted the link for our discount code, so that's great.
Thank you, Travis. All right. Well, Deanna, stay here on your Facebook. I'm going to send you a private message to get your information for your t-shirt. But otherwise, guys, we will see you next Thursday.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to hit those little likes and those little hearts. We'd really appreciate it.
And if you have any additional questions after we end the broadcast, make sure to go to help.17hats.com. We have lots of articles, video tutorials. It's a great place if you're a self-help type of person to get started. I like to go there at night and read the articles and watch the videos.
Wow.
I do, because I've written some of the articles.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. But also, if you're a user and you have a question during the weekday, click on that little messenger icon that's in the lower right-hand corner of your account, and you can contact our business support team directly and get your questions answered.
So great. So we got to thank you all for joining us today. And sorry we're late, but I think we'll be okay next week. And it's been good talking to you. And let us know how you're doing with 17 Hats.
Yep. Cheers, guys.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Until next time. Bye.